Okay, so for this video, I think I'm going to talk about how to integrate the UI theme, your interface graphics, into your project. Now, I've actually already done this, so I've decided to do this in a slightly different way. I've created the graphics, I've gone through the entire process, and now I'm going to show you how it's done. The reason I've done that is because all of this sort of stuff comprises part of my pre-production, really. Some of the tests where I'm developing the idea of the project, it goes in and helps me understand what it is I need to put together in UE4. So I'll try and jump into Photoshop and Animate and other types of applications very early on in the pre-production process, so I can really get a good look and feel of what it is I actually want to make. So and as I say, all of these stages sort of blend together, now as I've got this idea, it's going to be so much easier for me to put everything together. So I'm just going to show you where we're at the moment with the entire project. It's not this one. I'm opening up another application on this, another editor on the side. But if I just pop out a window, we should be able to have a look at where we're at. Okay, so here we go. So this is the start. Notice we've got a background in here. We've got all of our camera cuts, but I've been playing around with the colour grading, adding in some objects just to sort of enhance the scene, some major placements of some items. And I've got this black and white look with this grunge overlay on the screen, which just gives that old type effect. Notice we've got a skip button down at the bottom, which has started to be styled. We go through everything. This is obviously where the titles are going to be coming up. I've been playing around with the light, making sure the sun's in the right position, and I get some interesting effects there. Now we come into a menu. Notice we've got black and white here. We've got the menu. It's got a style on it, sort of an Art Deco look to it. Click on Start. We go around. We fade out the grunge overlay and then bring in some saturation back in. We bring the colour back in. And then when we run forward, we get to a location and we get this location marker, which pops up. So there we can press E and bring up a panel. Bring up a panel that will give you details about the location, etc. Notice, however, that it's wherever we go, that marker, is facing the player. So if we go that way, it's a bit difficult to show. So it rotates around, but that's a widget, as we've been looking at before, same as the menus, but that appears within a blueprint, actually sitting within the scene. One thing I haven't done is I haven't really changed the colour of it. It's responding to the light, but there's other things to do to actually make the colour more like it should be in the widget, or more like it should be in the menus. So if you look, press the P button, we've got our menus here, which we can resume, or the main menu, restart, etc. Okay, so that's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at how to create an overlay incorporate it into your projects, but also how to create interface graphics, let's say UI graphics, and then bring them in as well. So basically, it's I sort of work out what I need, and then create the first versions of them in Animate, and this is what we've got here. So I've got my location marker, my menu here, and my skip button with a little icon here. Now I haven't actually incorporated that into the other one yet, but let's have a look at how this is made. This is literally just a font that I've downloaded. I've played around with the spacing, some of the options. Here we go. So here size 64, auto kerning it, and then chosen a particular colour scheme. Yeah, this one, which I try to match throughout. So that's straight text. Now, I'm not going to export the text from Animate. I'm actually going to bring the font into Unreal, and then use the text tool in Unreal to write all of this stuff, because then I can update it dynamically if I wish. So the location markers would be important. Okay, so that could change per location, and I could do that dynamically. I could just have one blueprint that updated the text throughout. That's why I wouldn't make an image of the text. It's also, the other reason is it's not accessible. If it's an image, it can't be read by screen readers. I can't have subtitles of it, you know, dynamically made. I can't have other types of highlight and draw attention to it in particular ways if it's, you know, an image. But if it's a text object, I can. So that's quite important. But here, if you look at these are all quite straightforward. I mean, all we have is a series of shapes, overlays with a colour on top of them, a gradient, a linear gradient that just goes across all of these different individual elements. So that's very, very easy to do once you've sketched it out. If we have a look here, again, it's exactly the same. Yeah, just a straight image, you know, a shape with a bit of a cutout. Yeah, with just a gradient overlaid. So again, you know, very straightforward. Again, same here. Yeah. And then here, again, just an icon, which again has got a colour overlay, which is the same gradient, but a radial gradient this time, with the sort of the lightest part put in the centre, the area of focus. How do we make those? Let's have a quick look. I'll just show you some of the real basic techniques to be able to get that done. If we lock all of those, I'm going to add a new layer over the top. So I'm working on, hide all of those. Right, so let's take this for example. If we wanted to make that, again, now the one thing that you really need to be aware of is doing any sort of interface graphics, you really need to be pixel perfect. Yes, it's a pain, yes, it takes time, but it makes a hell of a difference to the final quality of what you're trying to do. So, you know, I'm always working with guides, making sure that I'm positioning guides appropriately. So, you know, we can zoom right in here, pressing the mouse, the space bar in Animate to just get the hand tool, but making sure that's exactly on 290. Yeah, bringing another one down, making sure that's exactly on 292. I can get that, so I know I've got a 2 pixel window. Then I could, you know, do exactly the same here. 602. Let's say I wanted it to be 100. You know, then we'd come along to 702 or whatever it happened to be, and then put something like so. So then I've got my shape. Now, using a variety of techniques, I suppose, you can make sure that you've got view snapping, snap to guides selected. I'm just going to get rid of snap to objects, view snapping. Snap a line, we don't particularly need that, and view snapping bitmaps to pixels, we won't do that either. So now if I draw these shapes, I'm going to let's get rid of a stroke. Yeah. Oh, actually, if I put a stroke on, put that at 1. Make sure it's a slightly different colour. That's my fill colour. Click and drag. Yeah, notice I'm snapping to the lines, and that's good. And then, you know, for this case, I'm just going to delete the outside. Yeah. If you want to do that and not have to delete or amend or adjust, because you may want to just play around with a particular shape, all you need to do is take that, where it says stroke, do this white box with a red line through it, so I have no stroke, and then that'll just draw the shape. So literally going along like this, we're snapping, Yeah, haven't gone all the way because I'm zoomed in. We can select the object, right click, transform, free transform, and then just transform the shape out so that it snaps. Okay, the good thing about using guides, if we zoom out on that, yeah, when I transformed it, it goes right across, so it transformed both ends. I can literally just use the select tool, come up to where the guides are, yeah, like so, and delete. Okay, and then also let's just zoom in, make sure it's in the right place. Okay, so that's fine. So we've got that shape. If you press Control and semicolon, it will just hide the guides. Right, so we've got that. You might think that's great, you know, but what we'd want now is we don't want it just one particular straight line. We want it to go like this, down and up. Yeah, like so. So the way we would do that is I would actually lock that layer, because we've got two different modes in Animate. We've got drawing, we've got object drawing mode, and we've got merge mode. I would look to work in merge mode by adding a layer, and we have covered this in class. Put a layer over the top. I'm going to create another. Let's say we just trying to think of the best way to do this. Let's create another rectangle. Yeah, I'm just going to hold down Shift so that it's exactly square. Going to right click, free transform, holding down Shift, snap it again to 45 degrees, like so. Okay, so I've got that there. Now colour plays a really important part here actually, because we can change that. Now I'll change that, and then I'm going to Control C to copy it. I'm going to add a new layer over the top. Yeah, and then I'm going to Control Shift and V to paste it back in place. And I'm going to change the colour of the top one. Yeah, so I've got a green one, hide that, a blue one. Yeah, and then my line is on that one. So look at these three layers here, layer 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Now this one, yeah, I want to move it up. Now, let's have a look. Yeah, try and get it so that it's roughly the same thickness as that. Now you could work it out exactly, and you could work it out using a grid and all the rest of it, but I'm not going to do that now. Right, so we've got that there. We've got two, so that's roughly about the right size, so I've just moved it up. Now if I select both of them, you see they're on separate layers, so they're not joined together or attached in any way. If I select them both, Control X, so that's cut them both, and then Control Shift and V, which is to paste them back in place where I got them from. And you can see that up here. Was it paste in place? Control Shift and V. Now, when I let go, the two objects like merge together. Okay, so where they've collapsed together, you effectively collapse them into each other, and now I can just delete that, like so. Okay, now I want to do the same. I want to bring that up to here. Yeah. So we've got that there. Now if I collapse those two together, so I select all there, Control X, Control Shift V, yeah, now I've got that, yeah, which means I can delete that. Now I can Control and semicolon to bring back my guides, and then I can use this to trim. I might want to zoom in a bit. I can use that to trim that line. Okay, so now we've got that. I don't need the guides anymore. Now if I just select them all, Control and A, Now, using this, I can just make them all that colour, and there you go. Suddenly we've got this new shape. So we're using colour to separate objects, and then we're merging them together, and then deleting the bits that we don't want. You know, so yeah, straightforward way of doing that. Bit fiddly, but as I say, it makes a hell of a difference when you're pixel perfect. You really need to make sure that you've got it planned out, and yeah, it looks good. Problem is, because if it's not accurate, things tend to rasterize, and when you're working with transparency, you get soft edges, you don't get sharp objects, and things can look really bad, and not crisp, not clear, which is a problem. All right, so let's have a look here. We've got the gradient. Yeah, that again is really simple. We've got a couple of tools here for that. We've got the colour swatch here. So we've got solid colour. Let's turn it to a linear gradient, so it's black to white. Now let's start thinking about some of these colours. Should we put that back to solid colour? Just undo that. What I will do, we've got this colour sitting in our swatch here. Yeah. Don't want to create a new swatch, but that's fine. We'll use that as a basis. Yeah, let's see. Take it there, add the swatches, linear colour. Right, from here, let's start adding some little bits of colour. So we've got that. Open that up. Grab our swatch. Here, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do that, but I think I'm just going to make it darker. What I can do is actually come and pick something from here, and then again pick that one. We'll use our swatch. Okay, so we're beginning to sort of build up a that I can add that one. I don't want that one. That. Yeah, there you go. Do another one in there, just a little highlight. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got that shape there. Gradients going across like so. Now if you want to play around with the gradients, you've got a gradient transform tool, which you can select the object, and then you can repeat, rotate, move, and change the gradient to suit. So there you go, and that's literally how to do it. Build up the shapes, playing around with the gradients. That's how they were done, and yeah, just moving the gradients around. And obviously just building them up. If you wanted to do a shape like that, one of the things you might want to think about doing is, you can, because you want things to scale. So you want to work with shapes. You don't want to work with lines all the time. You could start with a rectangle tool, put a stroke on there, put no fill in there. Yeah, do something like that. Play around with the stroke size. Let's put that to 2. Yeah, play around with the caps. Yeah, so that we've got no rounded corners. And then when we've got that, what we can do is modify shape, yeah, and then we convert lines to fills, and now, you know, it's a fill object, not stroke, which means we can then colour it and put gradients across it and all the rest of it, and then that would be exactly the same. We can just transform, free transform, and then just rotate it like so. You know, and then we could probably do the same. One thing that you want to get into the habit of as well is if you use a guide, you drag in a guide. Let's say I wanted that tip there to be exactly the same as this point here. Now here, I can't do it here because these ends aren't even, but if I wanted that to be right in the middle, I would use the guide, zoom right in, use the transform, so transform, free transform, and then nudge it, that way, and then if I had a horizontal position I wanted it to be, you know, I'd nudge it along that way, and then I'd nudge it and make sure that the anchor was literally right in the middle. You know, so that's just a handy hint for you to make sure that you get things lined up properly. Like so. Okay, so that's how to do those Art Deco frames. Now, generally, once I would generally put everything together. If you want to get rid of a guide, you just drag it off. By the way, just drag it right off the screen, and they're gone. So once you've got those, and I literally would do everything on one page, so I can like go back out, fit in window, and just have a look at everything. Make sure that I'm happy with everything as they sit together. But then I would actually make copies of all of these, and then I would create them and put them into their own little document. So I'll take this bit, and copy and paste it into its own thing. So this is menu top, which I've already done. Background's going to be transparent, so that's not going to be an issue. So this is the one thing, 100%. So that's it. I've set the size. The size is 200 by 40. I made sure it was center actually, just using those guides. So once I've set it up, then you can go File, Export, and then export the image as a PNG, a transparent PNG. So if you open that up, we've got the window here, 200 by 400, PNG 24 with transparency because I don't want a background, and then save, and then save it out in the location. So I've done that with all of these little UI elements. You know, these are some of the master things. Here's the font, by the way, that I've downloaded. It's called Skedaddle Regular, and it's literally just a TTF file. But I've exported out all of the interface elements here without the text. So I've got the icon, the location marker, the menu bottom, menu top, and skip. Okay, so that's the 5 little elements that I've exported. And then I've got my font file, which is the TTF called Skedaddle Regular. So for here, literally I'm just going to drag in, actually let's put it in the right place, widgets, images, let's new folder, call that fonts, just to keep it all organised. So I'll drag in the font. That will ask us if we want to create a new font asset. We'll say yes, which is great. Using fonts in UE4 is actually really good, really easy. And images, let's put a new folder, and I'll call it menu UI elements. Okay. So we'll do that, and then the exports from Animate, the PNG files, the transparent PNGs, I'll just drag them in and put them down here. Okay, so let's save all of that, and then let's open up our game menu widget. Right, and let's have a look at how we're going to replace or get in some of these menus. So let's just lock everything, going to hide everything for the moment. So we'll set the visibility of everything off, and let's have a look at game menus, unlock and visible. Okay, so if we use start menu, okay, need the canvas panel visible as well. Right, so here we go. So we've got start menu, settings, etc, etc, etc. Now there's going to have to be some sort of playing around on here to make sure that it justifies okay, and we'll do that in a minute because we only did it really roughly earlier by putting things roughly into position. Now we want it to scale depending upon how many things are actually there, so that's something we'll look at. But first of all, let's just open up all of these buttons. I'm only going to, you could do this on all of them, and I would suggest you will, but I'm only going to do this on the on this one just to show you. Resume, start, settings, exit, restart. Okay, so we've got all of those. I'm just going to drop that down, and now you can see we've got skedaddle. Yeah, so I'm set that text to skedaddle. Scale, I want that set to 52, and letter spacing, I'm going to set that to 60. Space it out a bit. Now here, down at the bottom, we have, where is it? Shadow. We'll worry about that in a second. Let's okay, so we'll put that on now. We'll say shadow, shadow color, alpha 1. So we've got a shadow. Offset, we'll offset it by 4 pixels. Now we will change the colours later, but I just want to get the colour values, and we'll do it properly. Okay, so that's cool, they're fine. Now, next thing is the button behind. Yeah, so I'm selecting the buttons down there, and then background colour alpha 0. Okay, so we want nothing there at all. Save, play, and then if we skip, yeah, we've got our 3 buttons here. We do need to change the colour, and we do need to change the colour of the background, and we also need to add in our top and bottom elements, which we're going to do now. So right at the top, inside the vertical box, we're going to add in a horizontal box. We'll put that there. It's going to jump to the bottom probably. Well, actually, let's put it there. There you go. Okay, and then we're going to put one at the end, and these are going to be the containers that are going to hold the top and bottom images. So if we select, we can see them there. Horizontal box. Now, if we go there, images, UI elements, menu top, bring that up, and we'll try and dump it into there. Okay, it's not gone in, so we'll just drag it and put it into the horizontal box. The size, I think, what did we say? It was 200 by 40, or if you just fill that way, and set it to 200. Is it by, no, not 400, 40. Okay, that doesn't quite look right. Okay, there we go. We'll just justify it to the center and set it to 200 by 40. We want to actually have a look and check. If we open it up, yeah, 200 by 40. Okay, so that's good. 200 by 40, it goes at the top. Then we want one at the bottom. So with that, let's take our menu bottom, game menu, we'll drag it in, put it into there, put it that way, and 200 by 40. Okay, job done. Right, let's just have a look at these colour values. So I can go back to animate and have a look here, what colours we want it to be. That light colour, FAE-AAA. FAE-AAA. Now this is a bit fiddly. So we select the text, colour and opacity, FAE, FFF, and then it'll be FF for alpha. Actually, no, it's that one, isn't it? Okay, let me just get the proper values. I can't do it from Animate. Okay, so the value, if we go, this is from the other project, so it's here. Here, so I'll type that in, linear hex value, E1BA61FF. Like so. Now before I click on OK, I'm just going to drag and drop the colour up here, save it, okay, and then go OK. Okay, so now if I select that one, I can drop that down and then just select that one, OK, that one, select that, okay, so we change those and put those there. Now we want a shadow colour as well, we'll do the same, that one, it's that value here. Yeah, so we'll do that on this project. I'll actually just select all of them. 1, 2, 3. Shadow color, put that there. We want hex linear 070 603 FF. Yeah, and then to do that, I'll drag that one up there. So we've got these two colors sitting in here in our palette now. So now the highlight, yeah, is this brown, which you can't really see against the background, but if we compile, save, play. Now we have skip. Yeah, now we've got the background here on this menu. Now, when we're looking at it in black and white, it's going to look fine. It's not going to stand out too much. I know that. I've already tested that, so I'm quite happy with those. Color values, obviously this is up to you to style, your menus as you see fit. If we start, it goes away, and there we go. Right, so we need to start thinking about the color overlay now, also the image overlay, and that's something that we need to also bring into here. Now we're going to do this in a slightly different way from this logos panel. We're going to bring in, well actually let's look at this. We'll create a new widget, user interface widget. I'll call it WI screen overlay. So we've got a screen overlay. We open that up. Yeah, we've got it like that. That's cool. Compile, save, and let's just dock it next to there. Again, we've got no image in there yet as the moment. So this is a separate widget. Now I want to bring in sort of the screen overlay that I'll make in Photoshop, and we'll put it here. And then I'm actually going to bring in to here a widget. So let's just save all of those. Yeah, so actually what we'll do is let's take that widget, bring it up to game menu, and then we'll dump it like so. So bring the widget into the scene, into the UMG. It's gone right here, so I'm going to put it right at the back of the canvas panel, so it's not nested within anything. We've got this widget screen overlay. We can play around with the anchors. So we'll set the center point. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. We'll scale it across the screen, and then 0, 0, so it was 0 all the offsets. So now our widget here, this overlay, goes over absolutely everything on the screen. Now one thing I'm going to do is make sure that it's non-hit testable cell phone children, so that it's not receiving any mouse input, so it will effectively be transparent as far as the mouse is concerned. Render opacity 1. Okay, so this means that we can control it, we can fade it in and out, and all the rest of it from here. But image and anything else we choose to do is all going to be here. Now, one of the things that we are going to do is, rather than use an image and just dump it in here, because we want to blend it, we want to use blend modes, we're actually going to apply a material to this. So we're going to put an object here that's actually got a material in it, which will give us better effects, really, I think. So what we'll do is right, so here, images, I'm going to create a material. It's going to be m_screen overlay, and then here I'm going to put a texture. I haven't got a texture yet, but here where it says screen overlay, the standard material domain, we want it to be user interface because it's going to go into a widget. And then I'm going to plug that out, the RGB output out into there, and then the alpha, in fact I don't want it opaque, we're going to make it additive. I'm going to plug into here, but I want some way of controlling the intensity, so I'm going to add in a multiply. We'll bring A into here, plug that into there, and then B, that value, we can set in a sort of a how much we're going to multiply it by, so we can have it when we're testing. We can put it on 0.5. Yes, times 0.5, so the overlay will be half as strong. So we can save that. Compilation errors, we haven't got a thing in there, that's fine. We'll save it and then start thinking about creating an image to go in here, to go into our overlay. Well, actually, I won't go into here. It will go into here, which we can then put on here. So for here, in the widget itself, we need to fill it with a material, don't we? So we can do exactly the same sort of way. We'll use image, and we'll drag that and put that in. But the image, I'm not going to select an image there, we'll actually use the screen overlay material. Okay, so we've got the screen overlay material. We will do the same, we'll do that, and then we'll scale it so that it's huge, and then offset it to the maximum. So here, the image, we've got our screen overlay material, and then image, we won't worry about that, it will scale. Okay, so save, and away we go. Now we need to start thinking about Photoshop. Now I've already done it again this before, so I'm going to open up the image in Photoshop and then show you how it was made. Right, so here you go. So this is the Photoshop image. Now this is my mock-up of the final scene. So this is what I've used to really sort of test and look at whether or not it's going to work. And as you can see, here's my test of the menu. So again, I've brought that in and thought about, right, what does it look like? How does it work? Don't want to do that one. How does it look? How does it work? How do I want it to perform? And that's obviously the sort of the final sort of look that I want, although that will probably be softened out, so it'll be something like this. So that was my original sort of mock-ups and things, but it's this I'm particularly interested in now. If we look at this, we've got this overlay here that goes on top of a just get rid of that mask. So that is what I want to create now. Okay, and it's this particular layer, this group, everything in here that I want. Now, if I switch that off and switch that off, we can see that it's transparent because we've got that checkerboard pattern beneath. And it's literally made up of these layers. Now, as I say, I'm not going to go through every little bit here because, as I say, I spend ages just tweaking these values, moving the opacity, changing things over, bringing in different images, trying to get the right sort of look. It does take a while. So you watching me do that is going to be an hour of me just moving numbers up and down and then deleting stuff. So if we go through it, in there, in this folder, all we've got is, first of all, this layer here, which, if I put the opacity right up, and I'm trying to stay away from any fancy blend modes. I'm just trying to keep everything on normal, and then just using opacity to blend things together. And how we're gonna sort of slowly build up this stuff. So all I've got is this. Now all this is if I show you how to do that, we got a new layer. So I've added a new layer in, clicking down here. I'll switch that off. Yeah, I'll switch that off. So I've got a completely blank thing. I'm just going to go filter, render, difference clouds. It's completely empty, so we need some colour in there to begin with. So I'm going to go edit, fill. That will bring up this fill, and then I'm going to go 50% grey. Yeah, then go filter, render, difference clouds. Yeah, and I've got that. Okay, going to Control Shift and U. Yeah, to desaturate it. So that's where is it? Control adjustments, desaturate. Yeah, Control Shift and U. And then now, because that's sort of a bit too noisy, just going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, or Gaussian blur, however you want it, and then blur it. Yeah, and you get this sort of pattern. Yeah. Not that one, it was that one. So that's what that is. Yeah. Although with that one, by the looks of it, rather than just doing a blur, let's do it. Well, what I probably did was when blur. I probably did a Gaussian blur a bit. Probably turn that down a bit. Yeah, and then probably blur. Did a motion blur, which blurs it either to the angle that you've got, so you can blur it that way or that way. Put that to 0, so completely horizontal, and then blur it that way. Okay, and then come up with some sort of pattern like that. Yeah. Now from there, again, yeah, what I probably did, yeah, was after I blurred it, Gaussian blur, normal one, and then a motion blur, that one, because I don't really care about working in a non-destructible way at the moment. Brightness, contrast, just going to increase that. Yeah, just to add a little bit of noise, and then yeah, you've got something that looks like that. So basically that's how I did that, and then put that in. Now if that was my original image here, yeah, I'll put on the bottom, that's my screen grab. Yeah, so that's my screen shot directly from my diorama. I'll put the black layer on because we're using a Cine camera. Yeah, so that's my shot. The first layer to be built is that one, which you've just seen, and then I'm going to take that opacity of that right down and just bring it all the way down. I think it was down to about 6. Yeah. As I say, I'll play around with these values. Let's put that down there. Next one. Yeah, we're going to add a grey layer on the top because I do want to desaturate it, and I want to slowly build up a lot of these things. Next layer on top. That's nothing. We'll delete that one. Next on top, I want to actually bring in an image. Now this is literally an image that's downloaded from textures.com, and if I can find it, you can see, well, I'll just turn up the opacity. This is it here, and it's literally just a question of going File, Place Embedded, choosing your file, yeah, finding the one you want, sticking it in there, scaling it using image, what is it? Where are we? Photoshop. Just Control T. I always remember the shortcuts. Just literally just scrolling it, scaling it, putting it where you're wanting it, and then adjusting the opacity, so turning the opacity right down. I've got multiply mode. What you can do is just select one and then flick through and find the sort of blend that you want, like so. Yeah, I'll keep that on. Multiply. Next one, again, is another image with these sort of cracks. So we'll put those on. Again, opacity down to 16. That was down to 40. And then we'll add in some vignetting here. That's quite easy to do. From here, if I just switch off those layers, you can see what we've got. We've just got a 40% darkening, yeah, of the edges. Again, they're really easy to do. I'll just show you how to do that. I'm going to take a new layer. I'm going to select the elliptical marquee tool, and then I'm literally just going to click and drag and go all the way across. Now, at the minute I've selected this inside area, I want to select the outside, so I'm going to go select inverse. Now I've selected these four corners, and then I'm going to go, as we did before, edit fill, this time not grey, we're going to do it in black, and that blurs the corners. Now the reason it's blurred like that is because I've got a feather set to 300. Okay, now if I change that to feather 0, yeah, if I add in a new layer, now it will do the same because I need to do another selection. So if I do that again, make that selection, yeah, and then go select inverse, so I'm selecting the corners. Now this time I've got no feather, fill, black, it's completely solid. So the feather softens that edge. If you do that, and sometimes I do this as well, I must admit, with filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then just really whack up the blur really high, because it does actually go right off the edge, and it blurs things quite nicely. So we fade and put a vignette on this overlay like so, and that having lots of layers that build up is not too much of a problem. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got all of these. So they're there. Now the one thing that is yet to do, which was actually the layer I deleted, I'm going to show you how to do that, was known as a halftone pattern. We've got that there, that's fine. So I've got this overlay, that'll be good for my titles, that'll be going under the menu if we put on that, you know, that's sort of fine. Quite happy with that. Yeah, next thing to do is to start thinking about this halftone pattern. Again, this is one that works on a, so I add a new layer, works on a, you need something in the layer to begin with, some coloured pixels, so we'll 50% grey, fill everything like that, and then filter, and then, now they keep on moving it, filter gallery, we'll bring that up. We've got this here. No, I don't want water, I want halftone pattern. And this will give me these lines, and that's cool. Size 1, 4, contrast is fine. Yeah, so the sort of the difference, 4 is fine. Pattern type line, you could do dots, circles. Yeah, don't want that, we want a line. Click on OK. So now we've got this, which is this pattern, goes all the way across. I want to desaturate it, so Control Shift U, then it will go black and white. Now here's the dodgy bit really, or the bit that you've got to get right. Because I want to flip these like 45 degrees and have them diagonally running across the screen, we need to make sure that they join properly. So I'm going to bring that down here, and then I'm going to duplicate it. So right click, duplicate the layer, and then I'm just going to bring it up, and then zoom right in and make sure that they match perfectly, because if they don't, they're going to look dodgy. Okay, so we'll, okay, there you go, that'll do, like so. So we've got just zoom out there. So you've got these lines that run all the way across. If I select both of them and Control T and rotate them, now I can stretch them that way as to my heart's content, that doesn't matter. It's the height that is the issue. What we can do is just use this, rotate them by 45 degrees, and then look, we've just about covered absolutely everything, which is nice. Click on OK. Right, there you go, that's the issue. Sometimes you can get these little lines that where it doesn't quite match, yeah, and then it looks dodgy. Okay, let's just turn that the other way around. There we go. So reverse the layers, it's okay. And then with that, I'm going to merge those layers so that they're together. Right click, merge layers. And then I'm going to start to multiply. So now what I've got is this pattern that runs across the top like so. So we'll multiply, good colour burn, dark colour. So we'll just go through and have a look for something that gives us an interesting effect. Again, look at that little line in the middle to join. You know, if you can get away with that, fine. Do multiply, here we go. Like so. So now I've got that pattern that runs across. Might want to just reduce the opacity somewhat down to about 40. Okay, so we've put that on. Yeah, we've got this. Now let's play around with that a bit. Now it's a question of just balancing what you want based on the type of look that you want. That's quite interesting. Yeah, okay, so like that. But the image is getting a little bit too washed out for me at this point. This is why that might be okay, but this is why I also have the switch in UE4 to be able to adjust the opacity there. Maybe some of these are a bit too. Okay, multiply that, bring that down. Or, don't forget what you can do is, take that and then brightness and contrast, maybe increase some contrast somewhere. Take the opacity, bring it down, that's probably a bit too much. Yeah, it really is up to you to play around and try to find something, that works in the context of what you want to do. Like so. And then when you're done, switch off the export of the backgrounds. Yeah, so that is you might say, right, okay, that's something I want. Yeah, switch off those so that we've just got the overlay. It's going to be barely visible, which is sort of what we want. And then export as PNG. Okay, which is what I've done here. If we open that up, that's what I've exported initially from Photoshop. Literally using those images. So with that, we can bring that into our project. If I take that image back to our level, back to UI elements, we'll bring screen overlay, bring that in. Save all, job done. And then here in the screen overlay, actually in the material, we can do that. And then here with the texture, we can set screen overlay. Yep, so now we've got that image there. Save. We've got multiplying it by half for the moment. So, okay, so we've got that there. So it's appearing over and above, over everything. If we compile, save that, click on play. Yeah, now we can see it. The widget sat there all of the time, sitting there. It's transparent, so it's filling up the screen. And we can see everything over it, and then it fades out through, which is fine. And now, if you look, we can just about see the overlay here. You know, it's dirtying up, putting some grain into the cracks into the camera, which is nice. We can skip, and there we go. We've got our menu now, and obviously the overlay, because we switched off the non-hit testable. Now we can do that. Now I don't want it on all of the time. Yeah, we can see. I don't know if you can see that. It's still there. It's subtle. You might want it there all the time, but you may not. What I've done, and I'm going to just save that now. Close that project, because I'm just going to walk you through what I've done to the next part. Which is it's all done in exactly the same way, and there's nothing actually new here. I've just taken it on a stage further. We've added in, so we've got the screen overlay, which is exactly the same as you've just seen. But what I've done is I've added in some things where we fade it out. So there's a particular animation that fades out. Yeah, overlay fade. So we fade that out. And then if we look at some of the options here, I've gone on from event begin play when we finish, you know, and actually start beginning to play with our character. Yeah, restore saturation. So I've put in a post-process volume, which if you look here, just close those up. Lighting, post-process volume. I've set it to black and white, so I've set a general black and white throughout the level. I've applied the overlay, but here I've set up a timeline exactly as I did in the other videos, where I've changing the saturation values. Yeah, when you know the restore saturation event is actually done, which happens, you know, when the level starts. Yeah. So as soon as we start actually playing the game, yeah, then we restore the saturation. So if we go through the start, we've got the overlay, we've got a skip button, which I've changed the font over. Here we go through the logos. We start playing the video, so we've still got the overlay, and we've still got, see, we've got the overlay. I'm just trying to get some shadows in, slowly building back up the level, so shadows of the trees. I put a light in front of this guy just to highlight him a little bit, brought a car in. So there's nothing new here. This is where titles will appear, you know, made by, directed by, animation by, game title and all the rest of it. That will fade in and out, we know how to do that. When we skip, yeah, we've got our start menu, we've still got our overlay, yeah, still in black and white, but then we click on start, we fade away the overlay, yeah, and then restore the colour back to the scene. Okay, so that's really straightforward, and that's literally just using timelines and animation. So we've got a timeline here, which is just changing, keeping the contrast as it is, actually slightly increasing the contrast, I think, and then yeah, playing around with the saturation of the post-process volume. And obviously kicking off when we press play in our game menu here. So if we look at that, where we reset the camera, we're playing the animation, which is overlay fade. Yeah, so we're fading out the overlay as we're doing in the widget that we've covered in plenty of other videos. So I mean, that's it for this part really. One of the things I will go over is just really quickly the location marker. But that's absolutely nothing at all new, but I'll just show you how it works. So we run in Bing, and we've got our chapel location marker. which we can see. Now all that is we've got a blueprint here, which blueprint location marker. If we edit that, what we can see inside it, that's the graph. Okay, so this is the how to follow and face in the direction of the player's camera. Okay, so I'll just put that just really quickly. Getting the player character, getting the camera location, getting the actor location, getting the world location, the widget, finding the look at, yeah, one where we are from our target widget, and where we want to go. Okay, and then we're doing the yaw, okay, which is rotation around the center. Remember the pilot, looking left and right, and then going up, setting a new rotation, and we're doing that on every tick. And we're also saying, are we in the trigger box? Yeah, and have we already read it or not? You know, so we're rotating it if we've already read it. If we've already read it and done it, we're not going to show it again. So we'll remove it from the sort of the pop-up zone, the trigger when we walk in there. So that's that part. The viewport itself, you know, all we've got sitting there is a widget. Okay, which the widget is in the blueprint. We've just added a component, added a widget. There you go. That's it done. And then with the widget, we've selected. If I select that, selected the WI location marker widget. Okay, and set it to 200 by 300 dimensions. So WI location marker. If I look at that in the library, here we are. We got that content browser. If we open that up, there we go. Exactly the same as we've got. Rather than filling the screen, I've actually set a custom width and height, 200 by 300, and then just using horizontal and vertical boxes, yeah, I've set up and put in the text, the images, and arranged them into this little widget. Okay, which is good. That location marker, so that gets loaded into here. You can't see it because it's the visibility is switched off. Where's the visibility? Yeah, visible on. Yeah, so that's the widget, like so. Yeah. As I say, do need to color correct this and make sure that's okay. So that's that. You can play, and we can see that appearing when located in a trigger box. I've switched it on, so it's going to be on all the time now. There you go. And the trigger box, which is just on the stairs, literally just toggles the visibility. I've enabled input so that you can press E, and then press E, it will bring up another panel or do a particular function. So they're really simple. It's just a widget that sits straight into a blueprint, and then you interact with them exactly the same as you would with a trigger box. So in our level, I've got a trigger box here, big one there. So whenever you're on the stairs, do this. So stairs, trigger box, location marker, which is the name of the blueprint. Yeah, we're enabling input, we're setting the location target, and then we're toggling the visibility, toggling and disabling when we're outside the input, toggling the visibility, and then when we're here, if we press E or end, depending if you're left or right handed, we're allowing you to open the information contained within that location marker. So again, that's really easy to do, and again, nothing new. We've covered that, trigger boxes and all the rest of it before. So I mean, that's where we're at the moment. Let me just switch that off. Visible off, save. Okay, and then if we play, you know, this is where we're at. We've got our background overlay, we've got our skip button, we've got our logos, we've got our cameras that we animate. Obviously we can put more text, you know, game name fading in, fading out there. We've got audio, of course. Yeah, more, you know, directed by, animation by, all the rest of our credits rolling as we go through these scenes. Again, that's really easy to do. So I'm, at this moment, I'm just thinking about light really, and starting to think about, you know, key little elements and whether or not these camera moves are okay. Not particularly happy with that one, but I'm starting to position the sun, trying to get the position of the, you know, the light in the right place. You know, ultimately this will be a night scene, so it'll be the moon, but yeah, we're getting there slowly. And then here, go into settings, back, start. We come in, we fade back in the colour, restore saturation, run through, come into our location marker. So we've got our location, chapel, yeah, press E, yeah, bring up some information about our location, bring up a character card or whatever it happens to be, you know, what we're trying to do, a mission, and then off we go. Yeah. And that's it really, that's it so far. So the next thing to think about is carrying on building the level, doing the overlays, and really working it up into a sort of a more finished state. But sort of technically, apart from specific mechanics, you know, that are in your game, this is pretty much a very good overview of all of the things you need to do to be able to get up to this this point. Yeah, pretty comprehensive. Alright, okay, so thank you very much and catch you later.